and some I probably have already talked to you about. But I realize that you feel that something should be done with this land. It's costing the city money. Of course, none of you knew what the cost was until now, and I don't know that you know because I haven't heard anything. I thought maybe someone would be here to explain how much it costs to run this property. And the only reason that you're going to know this is because we asked. We asked. Because that was one of the reasons why you wanted to get rid of this property was because of the cost. And like Jeffrey said, what other ideas have been floating around? At one of the meetings they said, well, there were two entities that offered $1 and they'd take the property and do whatever. Two people didn't take it. Why? They want to get rid of the property. It appears that no one has ever tried to find use for this property until now. If they had, I would think someone would have addressed this question when it was asked. At the last council meeting, Jeffrey mentioned the green, and this got me to thinking, why not a solar farm? This can be done on this type of property, so I called the solar company and I asked. We talked about the solar panels. He spoke about a community solar array project. It could assist with the heating bills for residents that are in need. Can it be done? No one said it can't. And TCDC, its purpose is to help low and middle income people, families. What is the sale of this property going to do to help the lower and middle income families? Because they're going to sell it. The money is going to Taylor Brownfield. The property that they're going to possibly get on Eureka is going to immediately go to Taylor Brownfield. They're not going to get nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, when it comes to the rezoning issue, which is why we're here, how much research has been done to come to the decision of rezoning? At the rezoning meeting and the planning meeting, many of the concerns we have expressed to you have fallen on deaf ears and been ignored. We were told that our concerns were site issues, the noise, the air, the traffic, to name a few, and that they would be addressed at another time. How can a city rezone a property from residential to light industrial without looking into all the effects of rezoning that the rezoning would have on the neighborhood it's trying to change? You shouldn't rezone without knowing this. Rezoning is more than a yes or no. The zoning committee didn't do any studies or ask the residents what they thought. This rezoning is huge and should be addressed with great care and concern for all involved. The residents of this neighborhood deserve better from their city. You've had only 2 weeks since the last reading to look into this. 2 weeks isn't enough time, I feel, to make such an important decision to answer yes or no to zoning. The anger that I feel, and I don't know that anger is really the right word, it's the only one I can come up with, is because of the difficulty in finding answers to our questions and information about the property. Now, I have a timeline that shows knowledge that they had before. So and this is from what I got from FOIAs and asking. In January of 2021, TCDC was approached by Tim Keys regarding asset capital proposal and interest in the I-94 Beverly property. Then the next I have is June 1st. The TCDC board approved a purchase agreement for this property. On July 8th, a memo went to Taylor Brownfield Redevelopment Authority from Tim Keys for the sale of the land and informing them of the indebtedness and mortgage needed to be discharged for them to be able to sell this property. The purchase agreement was signed on July 9th, 2021. On the 13th, 2021,
circumstances, and I realize that it's ongoing. And these people have many, many questions, and they have great concerns. And I realize we have a 3-minute rule, but I think maybe tonight, would it not be worth just allowing them to come up there?
Everybody an opportunity to speak on this behalf. So I just, Mrs. Sousa, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but there's other people that are waiting to speak.
This isn't
and that's
the first
why
time I've been asked to sit down. Zoning
I'm not asking you
application.
to sit down, I'm just asking you to kindly let other people come up and.
What's the same thing?
Am I able, when they're done, to come back and finish?
Unfortunately not. Not on
Well, then I would suggest that you look at the parcel of land, because when I talked to the assessor's office, I wanted to know how much this property was worth. And according to them, there's one parcel of land that's 18.88 acres that on the book is Taylor School District, not TCDC.
Thank you, Mrs. Yes, ma'am?
My name is Barbara Sturgeon-Lasky, and I spoke at the last meeting as well. And there has not been enough time for us to do anything. I wrote my questions out so that I could hopefully get through my 3 minutes. First, I want to read something that's from the Department of Environmental Quality. Mary and I went over to the City Hall and went through the paperwork. There's no current paperwork on this field, just so you know. I mean, everything we looked at was old. And we've been told, or been advised that some of the paperwork isn't available. But this is what I want you to know. The use of fencing and site controls are adequate to address some of the ambient air concerns. However, volatile organic compounds and mercury remain potential problems. And the DEQ requests that monitoring programs initially include these parameters. The response agreed that applicable cleanup criteria for methane, 100 parts per million, as clarification. This criteria needs to be met at monitoring points outside of the system, between the system and the school, not from samples collected from passive systems. Site investigations conducted from 1998 through 2004 indicated that historic landfilling activities in the western portion of the site have resulted in a release of volatile organic compounds, VOCs, semi-volatile organic compounds, SVOCs, polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs, and heavy metals constitute to site soils and groundwater at concentrations exceeding the applicable MDEQ generic residential cleanup criteria, including generic residential soil direct contact values. Additionally, elevated concentrations of methane, 10 to 35%, were identified within the perimeter of the landfill. This is from DEQ. I live across the street. This warehouse is going to be right across the street from my house. I want to know where are the most recent records on the property? Does anybody know? This is 2003.
Mr. Chairman, so dating back to conception, the city used a third-party partner, AKT Peerless. They likely would have any records and possibly have what.
But you guys are going to vote on this. You don't
Mr.
know
Chairman.
what you're supposed to
Question of who has any of the current records. So they would have them. They helped the city go through the capping process when the site was capped, dating back 20 years ago, all the way through current. So they were the environmental company that was assisting the TCDC and the city of Taylor through the entire process.
Okay. Then my next question is, why wasn't the property listed for sale with signage?
Mr. Chairman? It's been for sale through CoStar for decades. I mean, there's been a lot of proposed ideas. I say ideas because a lot of them really weren't, they were attempts to grab the property at little to no cost. I mean, we've had different ideas from bamboo farms to soccer fields, but what most of them all wanted was the city to bear the cost of developing the site in its entirety. This is the first true site with a qualified partner that can actually build on a site like this.
Okay. And I'd like to also know why the planning commission lied to us at the July 14th meeting, that this was only for 1 year. They knew the plans, and the mayor states in his latest Tour de Flag campaign that it's a perfect fit. It's not a perfect fit. The representative from Ashley Capital told us about the warehouse plans, not the planning commission, and I hope they understand. And I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it's really difficult when you know the administration is under federal investigation. It's hard to trust when you have all of these things. And I really want to congratulate all of the council for the way that they've conducted themselves over all of this time. And my next question is, what are the conditions of the conditional contract rezoning? What are the conditions? You're going to rezone it, conditionally rezone it, what are the conditions?
Laura, can you come up and answer?
Yeah, the conditions.
Oh, unless you can.
I was going to say the conditions are exactly what they are.
Right.
Are they the